Okay, hi everyone. So all set to proceed with the session C programming language. So in today's session we'll be discussing about the basics of the C and some examples and some computer level things like hardware, softwares, and then how C works. In that one we'll be covering about the syntax, operations in detail. So let me share the notes with you or my screen with you so that you will be able to discuss on these. Okay, let me know once it's visible to all of you guys. I can see I have shared my screen here and I hope it's visible to all of you guys. So in today's session we'll be discussing about the points like C introduction of C language, and then data types in the C language, then inputs and output in C, then operations, decision making statements, loop statements, functions, storage classes, arrays, pointers, then strings, then dynamics memory management, and structure and union and structures. So all this course C language is available on our website vglp.org also, and this live webinar will be available for all the subscribers. So this will be the basic C programming we'll be discussing till the graduation level. So till the graduation level we will be covering all the points which we need for the exam preparation, interview preparation, and our classworks or practicals, and also refreshing our skills and for revision of our skills. Okay, so that purpose its session is very useful. So if you go and you will see there are many sources are available for C and C language, and still we can see this C and C++ and Java. This language we are using in the computer world because you can see these are the low level, high level languages, right? So you will see in this session we will be touching to the points like programming language, machine level language, advantages and limitations, then assembly language. Okay, so the first chapter uh, is the introduction of C language or C computer programming. So you will be able to see here after the studying this C complete course, you will be able to find out, or you will be able to identify the programming language which we need to select for programming. Also, C concepts, syntax, and you will be able to write the programs, and we will be able to you will be able to identify the difference between procedural language and the object oriented language. Okay, so let's start with the first chapter. So first of all, yeah, as you know, computer is an electronic device which works on the instructions, right? So that instructions should have to be in computer understandable language. The natural language cannot be processed, right? So in the natural language, if we'll take the example of English or any Marathi, Telugu, Tamil, we have ABCD in English, right? Then we have grammar. In the same way, for machines also we have languages, and in that languages we have different alphabets and grammars. So this alphabets and grammars is nothing but like no syntax and the functions we use and operators, identifiers, keywords, right? So once we will be aware of that keywords, that operators, or that grammar and that alphabets, right? So then I think it's easy to identify, and it's easy to write the programs in the computer language. So first of all, as we can see, the computer does not understand the natural language. It is required to provide the instructions in some computer understandable language. So such computer understandable language is known as a programming language. So this is the basic concept, right? So a computer programming language consists of set of symbols, characters, words and grammar rules that permits people to construct instructions in the format that can be interpreted by computer system. Computer programming is the art of making a computer to do what you want to do, right? So when you want to convey somebody, you use the language as a medium, right? So that language you should speak in the way, like, you should apply tense, we should have grammatically correct, we should have correct alphabets and sentences here. The same way, if you want to instruct the machine to do any task, right? So we have to the program with correct syntax, correct alphabets, and then machine will do the task whatever we have assigned, right? Instructions to machines. Okay, so we write programs, and that programs, the one of the language in which we write the program is a C programming, correct? Term, if we'll see, C programming is general purpose procedural and programming language used for programming applications, right? So what applications we use? So this is for, like, embedded systems like microcontrollers, hardwares, programmings. Then we use this for operating systems and compilers. So what are the operating systems compilers, that will look for in the next in the introduction section in the next point. Then on the application softwares like games, database, GUI, and also in education and foundation of learning other programming languages, right? So what is the basic structure? So how at which level in the machine that programming language works, right? So just let's understand the simple architecture like that. Suppose this is my machine, okay? So in the machine, I have some operating system. Okay, so operating system. Then I have some softwares. Then I have some user task. So I give user task to the software. Software gives this to operating system, and operating system converts this instructions into machine level language, and then gives it to the machine. And then based on this interpret machine code, hardware reacts. Hardware performs the tasks, right? So this is the how actually computer works. So basic in the basic part, if you see, one second, okay. So yeah, it's audible now. So if you see the sample program, so if you just want to write the simple program, that syntax we want to know. So you will see here hash include stdio.h. This is the library which we are mentioning in our program. So we are saying that library, right? We are saying this library. From this library, you can import the objects. You can read the code. And what is the meaning of this? All written in this one. Okay. So you will see here int main. Int has some meaning. Main has some meaning. Then we have printf hello world and c, and then return 0. So this is the complete small program to write hello world only. So these are the instructions we have written, right? So these instructions will be given to the compiler. Compiler will interpret these instructions and convert these instructions into the machine level language, which are understood by the machines, and then that is being executed, and then the hardware actions are done based on that, right? So first point that is important for as a definition for our purpose: procedural programming language used for system programming and application software and embedded app systems. So different words, different styles, right? So as we say, so English has different grammar, Marathi has a different grammar, right? So in the same way, the different programming languages supports the different style of programming. To choose the language used is subject to many considerations such as company policy, suitability, to task, availability of third-party packages or individual references, right? So in the introduction itself, so you'll see here we included this header file, right? So this packages or this character, that words we have written, keywords written, all right, or the syntax itself written might differ based on the what language you choose for the programming. So in that programming language, in this session we'll be learning all these components for C. So what are the syntax, what are the operators, what are the keywords, what are the libraries, what are the packages, okay, we used in the C language while doing the programming in the C language or giving the instructions to machine in C language. So ideally, programming language best suited for the task at hand will be selected. Trade-off from this ideally involve finding enough programmers who know the language to build a team, the availability of compilers for the language, and the efficiency with which program written in a given language is executed. Right? So basic instructions of the programming languages like input, output, math, conditional exceptions, and repetitions. So every language has this. So when we want machine to perform some task, we should have to give some inputs. Then machine will give us some output. Also, machine will perform some calculations. Also, there will be some conditions, validations, right? And then the same thing might be repeated on multiple times, right? So that instructions need to give to the machine, or either to the machine, or it needs to take taken back from the machine as output. So these things, this process or these instructions, we will be writing into the C language. Okay, and then for all to write this, all instructions will be mm, discussing what are the components required, like what keywords, what operators, what libraries, what arithmetic operations, like that, right? So the definition for C is a programming language. It's a formal language that instructions that computer can execute to perform specific. And then purpose of these programming languages like to communicate with computers, to create software applications and algorithms, to control hardware and process data efficiently. So these are the applications to make our task easy, right? And get it faster. So that purpose of using the programming languages and giving the work to the machine. So there are many types of programming languages, like low level languages if you consider the first type, like so the low level language means the close to machine language, fast execution and hardware specific. So in low level language, if you write the code, machine can understand this language easily because this is written almost into the machine language. So these examples you will see that assembly language or machine code. Then next the high level language like human readable, easier to learn and portable. So like C, C++, Java, Python, right? These are the high level languages. Then procedural languages, you will see. So based on the procedure, functions, step by step executions. Right? So it means that if the instructions are getting executed step by step, so first instruction, second instruction, third instruction, like that. Okay. Then suppose first, second, third, fourth. Okay. So if we see in this program, this is the first instruction, this is the third instruction, this is the fourth instruction. Okay, so computer will execute this first, it will transfer the control to second, then it will transfer control to third and fourth. Then it is the procedural language, right? So what are these languages? These are C, Pascal, Fortran, COBOL, right? So these are the procedural languages. Then object oriented languages, this is called as OOP. So OOP, what OOP does? OOP does the object, means create the object of your code. Suppose this is your code, it will create an object for this code. So this is object. Okay. So computer control will be here. First, what is defined in the object? First, execute these instructions. Okay, and then control again transferred back to this object controller. This will see this is controller. Okay, and then in controller will tell key we need to execute third third instruction, not the second. Okay, then it will again controller return back, then it will come to second. So these steps, okay, this have been controlled through the object. So all this bundle is called as object. Okay, so this how it works for object oriented. For procedural oriented, it is like 1 2 3 4, the simple one. First instruction will be executed, second will be executed, third will be executed. Control, we cannot transfer the control of the execution first, second, third, fourth. So computer will read and run this first instruction, then second, and then third. So in the object oriented, the control will be passed in or any instruction can be called, or any function can be called, any class can be called. Okay, okay, the object oriented. So it is defined in the program. So program structure itself like designed like that. So you can call according to your requirement. So this is object oriented. Then declarative. So most probably for the declarative, we use the SQL, HTML, and Prolong, JavaScript. So focus on what to do rather than how to do that, right? So this is the declarative. We can just extract some. It's like what is the definition of the C? General purpose procedural computer language. Programming language. A programming language is a formal language used to write the instructions that a computer can execute a specific task. Then we have types of programming languages. We have procedural, we have object oriented, we have scripting, and we have declarative. In the scripting, we have Python, JavaScript, and Shell, right? So we write a script to perform a specific task. That script will perform the task and then it will get closed. Suppose to download the file from one system, transfer the file from one computer to another. There will be the script. Once I will execute that script, it will read the input path, it will transfer the file, and the second out it will read the output path also, and it will transfer the file on the second computer. So where we want to copy, or those destination, at the destination it will copy the file at the destination, right? So this is how it works. The next is, let's see in details about the machine languages characteristics, advantages and disadvantages, right? So computer language, also known as machine code, is how level programming language made up of binary digits. Before a computer can run, code can written in the high level languages like Swift or C++. The code must be converted into machine language, right? So suppose if we write the code in this language, like suppose hash include stdio.h, then we'll we give some integer a and b. Okay, then we have input printf a, then scanf percent d. Okay, so that we'll discuss, and then once we'll do that, right? So these instructions also not, hardware will not able to understand these instructions, right? So there should be some intermediator which will recompile these instructions and convert it to the machine level languages in, like, binary format or hex, like 0 1 0 0 0, like this 0 1 0 1 1 1 till here, right? So that intermediator has called as a compiler. It will compile the code and convert it into the machine understandable language and will execute the task. So Since the computers are digital devices, they may recognize the binary data, right? So every program, video, image, and character of text is represented in binary. This binary data or machine code is by the CPU. The resulting output is sent to the operating system. So whatever output is given by the program, it will be simply sent on the printer to print or display on the screen. So whatever instructions written accordingly, it will process the output. So while computer can programmed to understand a variety of computer languages, there is only one language that the computer understand without use of translation program. This language is known as computer's machine language or machine code. So as we see seen here, right? So once we have written this code in C, then it is converted into the machine level language. So machine can directly understand this language. Machine cannot understand directly, right? So there is interpreter is between there, so that compiler converts it into the machine level language. Right? Then machine code is fundamental language. We can say that machine code is fundamental language and is normally written as a string of binary 1 and 0. The circuitry of is wired in such a way that it immediately recognizes the machine language and converts it into the electrical signals needed to run the computer. And instructions prepared in a language has a two part. First part is a command or operation and tells the computer what function to be performed in every computer has an operation code opcode, right? So once this machine level code is been generated, then based on the electric circuits, right, CPU, right, we can see CPU. So that process that instructions which in 0101, like in the digital format, and then it process the instructions, and accordingly it instructs to the particular hardware or IO to complete the task, right? And then complete that the task. Okay, so from all these discussions, we can just conclude the definition of machine level, right? So machine level language is the lowest level programming language that a computer can directly execute. It consists of binary code 0 and 1 representing the instructions for a CPU. Then what are the characteristics? The binary instructions, right? So comprised of zeros and ones only. Hardware specific. Each CPU has its own machine language. Then fast execution, directly executed by the processor. Difficult to learn. Hard for humans to read and write, right? Because we cannot you cannot read easily that 0101 one, like 1111, or if you write to 1 then 00001, this is called as a 1. So this is difficult, then difficult to learn, no translation needed. So these are some characteristics that we can say for the machine level language. Then advantages: fast execution, precise control. So how it is fast execution? Because if we have a directly 0100 machine level thing, right? So we don't want, machine will not convert it into the machine level, right? So there is no intermediate or no compilation required for the code. So that compilation time will not be consumed by machine, right? So that will be directly executed at that time, so it will be faster, and we'll have precise control over the hardware. So directly we can control the hardware, or we can give the instruction to the hardware or specific hardware also, right? So what are the disadvantage of that machine level languages? So not human readable, then not portable, then time consuming for complex programs. So right. So for example, if you'll see machine code instructions to add two numbers, so might look like no, like this. We'll see here. We'll see like this. Then advantages and disadvantages of machine level language. Okay, so we'll see in the next chapter. Thanks, see you.